MMA Junkie is in a very chilly Wichita, Kansas right now, which is why I'm not going outside for this. But we're here for UFC on ESPN +4 with a heavyweight headliner between two sluggers in Derrick Lewis and Junior Dos Santos. What's at stake in the main event? Well, quite a bit of relevance in the heavyweight division. I mean, this looks like it's going to be a fun fight, so you got to think the winner is going to come out with a little hype behind them. But contendership matters as well. Now, Derrick Lewis, to be clear, just fought for the title in late 2018, so he doesn't believe he's going to get himself another shot at the belt right away, but he sure does like being on top of the division and taking those big paychecks to come along with it.
No, not at all. I'm not worried about what this fight could do. I'm just happy with just to be fighting, really, and just being able to provide for my family. So I don't care who I'm fighting or where. I'm just happy.
Meanwhile, Junior Dos Santos does have an idea of getting back to a title shot and claiming back the belt that was once his.
I get excited to reach the top, to reach where I want to be, which is with the belt, but I'll do whatever it takes, to get there. So if I have to fight these guys to get there, I will fight them, So it's another day of job for me.
So heavyweight sluggers meet in a matchup that seems sure to please. What else is at stake? Well, look, the co-main event matters quite a bit as well. Zaleski Dos Santos and Curtis Millender, two welterweights that have flown a little bit under the radar. They meet in what looks to be, on paper, a very, very fun fight as well. Now, Dos Santos, the Brazilian capoeira artist, 6-1 in the UFC, but has gotten very, very little respect on his way up to the top. He's excited to now be in a co-main event and claim some of the respect that he's been lacking up to this point.
The biggest thing is it's a good matchup against an opponent that is going to put on a show with me and as a co-main event. So I'm going to get the exposure that I need against an opponent that I know for sure is going to put on the kind of fight that I need to be putting out there right now to get the exposure I need.
Meanwhile, Millender, 3-0 in the UFC, had a fantastic start to his UFC run in 2018 and believes there are big things on the horizon for him in 2019 as well.
Goals, definitely get this win, get this bonus, take the summer off maybe, and then get two more at the end of the year. Somebody like Wonder Boy or another fun fight, Wonder Boy or Teal. I'll smash them both.
All right, so a welterweight co-headliner that on paper looks like it should be a lot of fun. So how about looking a little further down the card and thinking of something else, maybe some prospects to watch? Well, what if I told you about SMOLKA versus Matt Schnell? You may say, John, I've heard of those guys. I've seen them fight before. Sure you have, but now they're reinventing themselves in the bantamweight division. Of course, we don't really know what's happening with the future of the flyweight division in the UFC. It seems like it's potentially on its way out the door. So these two guys making the move to 135 pounds. SMOLKA, you remember, he had a fantastic run in the UFC, then went on a losing streak, fighting out on the regional stage. He realized, listen, his drinking was a problem. He changed his life around, quit using alcohol, and made his way back to the UFC through the wins on the regional stage and then picking up a win in China in November in the UFC. And now he's saying, listen, I want to prove I still matter in the octagon.
It really is just one at a time right now. I'm just trying to win fights and keep winning, keep continuing my career. I do one day eventually want to fight for a title, hold a title, and that will, I just have to believe that will come eventually, and if I just keep winning fights, I can keep making my way to a belt, But first things first, I have to beat Matt Schnell or else the whole thing doesn't matter.
Meanwhile, Matt Schnell came to the UFC with quite a bit of attention behind him, had a little downfall there with a couple of losses, but has since picked up 2 consecutive wins. He's been training, traveling around, kind of becoming a bit of Ronin of sorts, and he says, listen, he's focused and he's ready to claim what's his.
It always feels like I'm starting over, and I always feel like my back's against the wall, and rightfully so, because I didn't do what I needed to do early on in my UFC career, and at fault of my own self. So yeah, back's against the wall. It's always a new beginning. Winning solves everything.
All right, former flyweights there to keep an eye on in a bantamweight affair. But listen, who else made the list? Everybody here is talking about Ben Rothwell. He's returning from a 2-year USADA suspension, and the way he carried himself in media day, the way he approached it, the intensity, you could really sense some frustration behind the eyes, maybe a little bit of anger as well, but he elected not to let it go at media day, said he'll talk about it at a later date. But the way he carried himself, the intensity, the emotion, was certainly something to behold.
I'm here to do business. That's as well for me. March 9th is the day I'm going to conduct business, and I'm going to take out one of the best fighters in the world, and it sounds like a lot, but literally the toughest thing for me is this right here. Literally having to talk about it, and I just don't have much to say. People ask for predictions. I have no predictions. They ask about my feelings. I have no feelings. I really don't. So I'm here, and I'm here to but my actions speak for me.
All right, so UFC on ESPN Plus 4 takes place Saturday. The entire card streams live on ESPN Plus. It's a fun-looking card from top to bottom. The biggest favorite on the card at -220. Only 5 of the 13 fights feature a favorite at as big as -200. So a lot of tight betting lines, which usually means some great matchmaking and hopefully some great action as well. Keep it to MMA Junkie. We'll have full coverage during the fight and, of course, all the fallout afterwards.